Hi, I'm Jamie, and this is Booksies, the podcast that reminds you that even the mom next door likes her fiction filthy. We are in our Love in Bloom series because spring has sprung and we are enjoying the vibes. This week's book is Late Bloomer by Mazey Eddings. And before we get going on it, I just want to remind everyone that this podcast does contain spoilers. I spoiled the whole damn book. So if you're not into that, maybe you need to pause, read the book, and come back. Because this is a book club. We talk about the book, we get into it, we talk about quotes and casting and all the fun things. So if you're not ready for that, pause, read the book, and come back. Okay, Late Bloomer by Mazey Eddings. This was my very first female romance. My very first lesbian romance. And now I'm wondering if maybe this just isn't my thing, or if I picked the wrong book, or what. And I will get into all of that, all my reasoning. I do not think it was a bad book before anyone asks me. The writing was beautiful. There was a lot of emotional depth, but me personally, and I've talked about this before, overly emotional books don't land with me. I have enough drama. When I get into a book, I'm wanting something that's light and fun, or like something dark and mysterious. I'm going for escapism. And this book hit just a little too close to home to be escapism to me. So, there's your prelude. Let's get into it. Like I said, 2 FMCs in this book. The first one is Opal. I hated Opal. Full disclosure, I hated Opal, and I think I hated Opal. I really liked Pepper. She's the other one. But I think I didn't like Opal because she is they're both neurodivergent, and Opal's form of neurodiversion hit a little too close to mine, and I saw way too much of myself in her, and it pissed me off. I couldn't relax into it. It was a little too close to home for me. Opal has ADHD. She's an artist. She's very much a people pleaser to the point where she can be very gullible. And that I wanted to smack her the whole time. Just like her sisters. Her sisters were awesome. Plus, hello, what in the Taylor Swift are we doing with these names? We have Ophelia, Opal, and Olivia. Those are the 3 sisters, and you cannot convince me their parents were not Swifties. I'm locked in on that decision. But we're talking about Opal, and she is such a people pleaser. In fact, the book opens with her working at a job she absolutely hates, and because she cannot say no, they have her out there dressed up like a hot dog or something completely outlandish, or an ice cream cone. I forget. She's dressed as something completely silly, and it's like one of those inflatable suits, and she's like, "Hey, come eat here." I think it's an ice cream shop, so I think it might be an ice cream cone. Anyway, they have her doing that, and she hates it. And she shouldn't be doing that because she has more of a seniority, but nobody else wants to do it. And Opal always says yes, so Opal's the one doing it. And she's talking about this situationship she has with a guy named Miles, where he was her boyfriend and they broke up, but he still calls her regularly for booty calls, and she just does it. And she's always having sex with him, but nothing else, and he treats her like crap. And so she feels bad about it, but she keeps doing it. I don't know. And then her best friend works with her, and she's so irrelevant, I forgot her name. But she's also just uses her and is a bitch. I think her name's like, no, it's not Trisha. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. I can't remember her name. She's not important. She sucks. She's a terrible friend, and she uses Opal in every way she can. Like, if she needs someone to cover her shift, Opal will do it. If she needs someone to help her move without thanking her or anything, Opal will do it. And in a sweet little twist, just to show how much her friends suck, apparently this chick and Miles, they're hooking up. They're in a band together now. They met because of Opal. So Yeah, she's fucking her ex knowingly and just casually mentions it and stuff. To hell with her friendship with Opal. It's not nice. It's not nice. I can I tend to be a people pleaser when I like people, but I also don't like a lot of people. So in this way, Opal and I do not, because Opal, we do not align on that. Opal is very much an extrovert. She needs people. She loves people. She wants to be around people. She wants to make people happy. She really, really wants people to like her. I'm an introvert. I don't give a fuck about being around people. When I am, I get hyper anxiety. I want people to like me, sure. And she has that. But I'm also, it's harder for people to use me because I don't want to be around them anyway, I'm getting too into the weeds with this, but I'll get to where Opal and I are similar in a minute. So, Opal's a people pleaser. Opal's working a job she hates. That's where Opal's at. Well, her friend, like a week too late, gives her a birthday present. And this birthday present is just like an envelope with 2 lottery tickets in it. That's all it is. Well, much to the friend's chagrin, one of the lottery tickets actually wins like $600,000. And of course, she does the whole, I'm entitled to some of that money. Let me be your best friend again. You know, that sort of thing. But Opal takes this as her, like, I get to move on. I get to go start over. I get to go do something. And she quits this dead-end job that she hates anyway. And not knowing what to do with this money. Like, her sisters are trying to guide her. Like, look, don't do anything with it yet. Just be an artist. That's what you want to do. Now you have the leeway to do so. Just enjoy it and figure out what you want to do and then go from there. Well, Opal, impulsive Opal, bless her pointed head, as my dad used to say, she just randomly decides to buy a flower farm on Facebook Marketplace, sight unseen. I wanted to smack her, and you could tell her family wanted to smack her. Her dad was like, what the fuck? Why did you do that? But she's like, I got good vibes from it. Anyway, ever the optimist, our Opal. So her dad looks into the contract. He looks into the title that she received. And he's like, okay, well, this looks legit. Thank God. She moves off to this flower farm thinking she's going to be an artist and dance in the flowers and paint shoes. That's her life plan now. She's going to go paint shoes. Great. Well, I can't with her life plan. It was outlandish. Okay. She gets there. First day she's there, she meets Pepper. Pepper's running the flower farm. Pepper's aunt is the one who owned the flower farm, and she has died recently, and they couldn't find a will. So Trisha, the lady Opal bought the farm from, is Pepper's mother, her scheming, narcissistic mother. And she does technically own the farm right now because there wasn't a will, and she's the one who inherits next to kin, according to the state. So she felt she was within her right to sell the farm to Opal. But Trisha's like, I'm the one running it. This is my farm. I'm not letting you just have it. I'm not leaving or I'll be homeless. And Opal, ever the people pleaser, is like, well, we can both live here for a while. And what we'll do is we'll come up with a payment plan. And you can very slowly pay me back. And I'll even help you with the flight. Pepper is introverted. She's autistic and she is distrustful. So she is like, No, why would you do that? Why are you trying to be nice? She does not want to accept help because she's also been conditioned by her asshole of a mom to not want to accept help, and any helping hand or any sort of kindness is going to flip back on you eventually. So, anyway, we get into this interesting dynamic between Opal and Pepper, where Opal's just wanting to help and wanting to be liked, and it's like an eager little puppy, and she's there, and let me help you. And then you have Pepper, who's like, fuck off, this is my house, I don't want you here, and I'm gonna figure it out myself, and I'm gonna figure out everything, and I'm gonna make this farm work, even though my aunt was terrible with the business side of things. That was the one kind person in her life, the one person who showed her love. So she's like, I'm gonna find a way to make this work, and I'm gonna find a way to pay you off, and I'm gonna make this happen. Q, Pepper's really amazing friend. She has this great friend group. And they convince her, you need to enter into this huge art competition. It's a big competition in the flower community, and there's different categories for like best flower, this kind of flower, this kind of flower. Anyway, they also have the big one that you win like 100 grand or something like that on. 100 grand is a art competition where it's all made of flowers, and it's an installment, and it's apparently this big deal. But Pepper's like, I'm not artsy, I'm very pragmatic, I don't know how to do that. Well, Opal bops in and is like, well, I'm an artist, let me help. And Pepper's like, why do you want to help me? Well, ultimately, Opal convinces her, look, it's for both of our benefits. Your mom screwed us over. We're both in a bad position. This isn't my fault, which I was very proud of Opal for standing up for herself instead of just laying over like she usually would do. She's like, I put the bulk of my money into this. If this doesn't work, I'm just as screwed as you are. It's to our benefit that we both make this work. So let me help you, and we'll do this. So they work on the farm, and they work on the art installment and figuring out what they want to do, and like drying some flowers for it, and making sure they have enough cuttings and things like that for the big installment that they're going to do. And the more time they spend together doing these different things and getting to know each other, and seeing each other's vulnerabilities, because Pepper suffers from migraines and Opal was there to help her, and then Opal has her own anxiety type issues and Pepper's there to help her. They slowly start falling in love. Like, they knew they were attracted to each other. Opal is bi, and she has this hilarious quote that I'll read later, but she says she actually thinks it's a disservice or just cruel that she is attracted to men because she doesn't like them overall. Women, on the other hand, she actually likes. She finds them interesting to talk to, and she's attracted to them. Pepper, on the other hand, she's completely gay. She's not bi. She's only attracted to women, but she's never acted on it because of her autism and her introversion and just her social awkwardness. She has not acted on it. She is a virgin. I don't know why that word just flew out of my brain, but Pepper's a virgin. It's very cute and sweet watching them get drawn to each other and finding it so hard to resist the attraction, especially the more they start to actually like each other as people. And Pepper starts to accept, okay, Opal is different than my mother. Opal just is kind-hearted and wants to help. And Opal really loves Pepper's friend group too. She's like, I really want to be a part of this friend group because they're actually helpful. They care about you, and they're not just here to use you. Novel that. They're actual friends. Oh, bless Opal's heart. I just wanted to hug her and smack her, like the whole book. Just give her a big hug and then slap her and then give her another hug. Okay, the more Opal tries to get involved with her friend group, we learn that she has extreme anxiety. And this is the part that I felt hit a little too close. Opal has a history of getting anxiety, wanting to be in a friend group, wanting to like people to like her, and overindulging in alcohol to make herself feel more comfortable to be in a group of people, even though she really, really wants to be in this group of people. And it's just such a messy, neurodivergent way of being in your brain. And I felt that. Like, I've done that in the past. I'm in a, I'm more centered, more grown now. I'm in therapy. So all of that has helped. No, I don't do that anymore. But she has a past of being like really wanting to be liked and overindulging in alcohol and to make herself more comfortable, and then being overly promiscuous or just doing things that would make her hate herself the next day. And it's just, it broke my heart because it reminded me so much of my 20s. So she either does that, or to cope with her anxiety and, like nitpicking things and just like being, she ends up just randomly cutting her hair or dyeing her hair or doing crazy things with her hair. Like, when the book started, she had pink hair. Then she got really nervous about this party that it was Pepper's birthday and her friend group was going to be there. And even though it was a small party, Opal really, really wanted to be liked. So she has a little momentary freak out and she bleaches her hair like shock cotton ball white, which I don't think was what she was intending, but that's what happened. And then later in the book, she gets nervous about something else and ends up dyeing it lime green and then gives herself these crazy bangs. I was just like, put the fucking hair dye down, Opal. Stop. Don't do that. I mentioned this already, but Pepper was a virgin pre-Opal, and it was very sweet how... Okay, let's talk about the spice real quick before I get into the ending of the book, or how the book ends. I wasn't into it. First off, it wasn't very spicy. It was all more emotion and self-discovery and things like that, which is great. That's all great. But I was... Okay, this is going to sound terrible, but I've never read a lesbian romance. And I was looking forward to the spice. Not just for spicy purposes, but for educational purposes. I've never been in a lesbian relationship because that's not the way I lean. So I was just really interested. Like, I enjoyed reading the romances because it was hot and educational to me. So I was really looking forward to it. And I didn't like it. Like, it just wasn't for me, I think. Maybe I picked the wrong book to start with, and I need something that's not so self-discovery, emotion heavy. Everyone's overcoming obstacles and emotional obstacles and neurodiversion and this and that. And it was just like, oh, there's too much emotion going on. It made me uncomfortable because it hit too close. But the spice, I mean, like, they're talking about Opal gets naked for the first time, has no problem with Pepper and however she is, but because she gets in her own head, she's like, I'm not shaved perfectly. I don't know if I want you to see. It's hiding her business. And then, Opal has to go, no, I think you're perfect. She's the virgin here. Why don't you ease her into it? But Opal's so like, in her head and stuff. She ends up just talking about how Miles liked her waxed and she's not waxed and she's got hair down there. And And then there's another time where they're going to do it and they're in a field because they've been working all day. And so there's like, but we're all sweaty. What if you don't like my smell? And I'm like, I don't want to hear about this. This is not what I want to hear about. This is a little too realistic to me to be sexy. Again, I like books that are escapism, and this did not hit as escapism to me. I just say, I think Opal embodies a lot of the characteristics in myself that I haven't liked in the past, so that was why I didn't care for her as much, and why this book didn't quite hit. Anyway, to continue with the rest of the plot line, They enter the competition. They do really wonderfully. However, they do not win. Well, Opal has a big freak out because they didn't win. And she ends up not talking to Pepper for a few days, like, because she just freaks out. And then she's like, assuming that that's it. I couldn't help her the way I wanted to help her. And anyway, she starts beating herself up emotionally. Meanwhile, poor autistic Pepper's like, well, why are you mad at me that we lost? Like, you don't want to talk to me? We both lost. Like, she's just being really logical about it. Meanwhile, Opal's just having this emotional like meltdown, and then she's like, I guess we're broken up. I guess I need to move. I guess I need to do this. Anyway, so that part really agitated me because at this point you've both gotten really close. You have both been able to talk to each other about your different issues. I just hated that that's what happened. So it wasn't a third act breakup, but it almost acted as a third act breakup, which I'm not a fan of those. But just talk to her, man. Like, it made me just feel like maybe Opal needs therapy to work through her issues, and don't drag somebody else into your issues. Anyway, they do stand up to Pepper's mother during this time, and then they have another instance where they were able to stand up to Miles and the terrible friend of Opal. So they both stood up to their nemesis, I guess, or the people who caused them the most grief. So that's healing. And they end up coming together. And at this point, they're on more even ground because when Opal wasn't speaking to Pepper for a few days, she actually finally went into her aunt's old bedroom, which she's been dealing with grief this entire book. And she goes into her aunt's bedroom and she finds the will. She's been looking everywhere, but she's not the one who went in there to look for the will. She finally finds the will, and it turns out her aunt did leave the farm to Pepper. So her mother wasn't supposed to sell it out. So they were able to get the money back. But at this point, they are in love and they finally have talked to each other. Opal was ready to just hand it over because she's having her freak out. And Pepper goes, well, that farm is mine because I found this will. So Opal's like, fine, I guess I'm going to move out. She goes, no, I want you to stay here because I love you. I'm glad she said that. I'm glad she's the one who came forth and said that, because then that calms Opal's anxiety and she can admit she loves her too. And then they come together and they're on more even footing, and the money Opal gets back from Trish doing her dirty deeds, she ends up investing into the farm and into her artwork, and she ends up painting clogs, and it ties it back to the farm, and so it blossoms and she becomes a prominent artist, and people want these beautiful hand-painted gardening clogs from the flower farm, and they end up working it together, and it's very sweet how they come together. But I think there was too much going on for me. So, since there was too much going on for me, and I think the writing was beautiful. I think the love story was beautiful. Just for me personally, I'm rating it a 3. It just didn't hit for me. It's not what I like in a book. I'm not for the sappy, sweet, emotional, entangled romances. It's just not where I land. It's not where I like to be. It's not escapism for me. Yeah, I've worked really hard on trying to figure out my own emotions and my own neuroses. I don't really want to talk about other people's. At least not as the primary focus of the book. So, 3 stars from me to spice level, because while it wasn't closed doors, there wasn't much going on, and what was going on seemed kind of awkward, at least to me. I mean, they're talking about mutually fingering each other at the same time, and their hands bumping together, and to me, I'm just like, it doesn't sound sexy. Doesn't sound sexy to me. Maybe it's sexy for somebody. For me, I'm just kind of like, Okay. I do have a bunch of quotes because, like I said, the writing was The writing was great. Maybe I'll try to read something else by this author because I really did enjoy the writing. I thought it was beautifully done. It just, the story itself wasn't something that, it just wasn't for me. Okay, here's a great quote. This is the opening line of the book, the very first word you read. And I read this and I was like, oh, I'm going to love this book. This is hilarious. This is great. And then, we went off somewhere, but this was great. This is Opal. I feel, to put it delicately, like a dickhead. That's the very first sentence of the book, and I laughed out loud. It was like, this is going to be great. One paragraph later, she says, but life seems dead set on plopping me into situations that bring out my dickheadedness. Okay, first page was strong, and I knew I was going to like it. This is the quote I was just talking about when I was talking about Opal being bi, but not really even liking men as people. This is the quote. This is Opal. It sometimes feels like a curse to be attracted to men, seeing as I don't generally like them. You know what, sis? I get it, man. I feel you. When I was dating, I felt the same damn way. Luckily, I ended up with a great man, but yeah, I don't generally like them either. But I don't have a lot of options. Damn being straight. Anyway, I did end up with a wonderful man, but that quote made me giggle, and I felt, yeah, well, I'll see you, girl. Same. All right, here's Pepper. Okay, this is an example of how I saw myself too much in this book that it made me just feel like I'm not that comfortable. This is Pepper. She is having an aura before a really, really bad migraine. If you've never had an aura before, and I've had plenty because I'm an epileptic. I've had epilepsy, got diagnosed in high school. And you get kind of an aura first. It's hard to explain. So I read this and was like, oh shit, I know this exact feeling that she's describing. And I felt it myself. Like, it made me feel like I started feeling the nausea. I started feeling like she describes it as a wrongness, and that's perfect. That's exactly what it is. You just kind of got that feeling like, I'm off. Something's not quite right today. Mentally, I could feel it in my brain. There's something off today. And then eventually you end up where the migraine or the seizure comes through, and you're like, that's what it was. And I was hoping to hold it off, and now I'm losing control of my body. And it's just their frustration, the helpless feeling, all of it was there. Thankfully, I'm in my 40s now. And while they don't know a lot about epilepsy, sometimes this happens, which I was lucky enough to happen. I don't have to deal with the seizure so much anymore. It's very, very rare that I have a spell. Most of the time, what happens now is I might get a little lightheaded, or I will have a bad migraine. And again, I don't even have to deal with so much anymore. Thank goodness, that was a blessing. But I do know the feeling of, I'm just feeling wrong. Something's not quite right. And then having this horrible migraine, you could feel, come on, there's not a fucking thing you can do about it. You take Tylenol, but that's not enough. And you just can't stave it off. And even though you have things you want to get done that day, see what I mean by I felt too much of a connection. It did not help me escape. It reminded me of things that I have in the past been dying to escape. But here's Pepper describing it beautifully, what it feels like to have an aura followed by losing control of your own body, feeling let down by your body. This is Pepper. The wrongness is familiar, but pumps panic through me nonetheless. It's like the flip of a switch, and I go from human to animal, desperate to escape the pain that always comes on the heels of the aura. I cannot explain how that hits so hard, that feeling, that desperation. I'm feeling emotional just reading that. And again, if you've not experienced it, if that's not something that you've had to deal with, you don't know how triggering it is to talk about sometimes. It's being let down by your own body is the hardest thing to deal with. You can't put boundaries to your own body. You can't escape your own body. You're in it. If it lets you down, there's nothing you can do. You are trapped in the body that's letting you down. So I get this feeling. I understand where she's coming from, and I felt a little too much connection with it. And here's another example. This is Opal talking about her driving need to cure anxiety by drinking too much alcohol. Opal, but a drink at a party like this with lots of voices and people and energy and this frenetic need in my body to act the right way and connect and make people like me most often turns into 3 drinks, then 5. And next thing I know, it's morning and I hate myself more than ever. I feel physically nauseated reading that and thinking about all the times in my 20s that's what happened. Like being in a crowd of people and feeling so socially anxious, wanting to do the right thing, wanting people to like me, not knowing how to act, feeling like, I've got a spotlight effect, all the things that are wrong with me, and then drinking. And then, yes, 1 drink turns to 3, turns to 5. They say, no, I'm blacked out. I'm waking up the next day and I'm mad at myself for acting a fool or sleeping with someone I shouldn't or something horrible like that. And it's just, I wanted to grab her out of that situation, say, I completely understand. Let's go somewhere. Let's go do something else. It made me feel that panic rising. So I don't want to feel panic rising when I'm trying to read a cute romance. It's the 3-star rating to me. I just felt panicked and anxious most of this book. This is Pepper talking through an issue that she has before she's decided to trust that Opal wants to be there for her and wants to just help and not because she wants something from her. And I'll read this and you'll know where her mindset is, and it's because of her mother. Her mother just left her repeatedly, was always wanting something from her. She's a scam artist. She's a narcissist. So a narcissist look at how people in their life can benefit or affect them, and it's never how do my actions affect other people. But this is how unhealthy it is. Pepper. People wake up every day and decide to leave someone behind, decide you're too much to carry, break promises they swear they'll keep without a second thought. I wanted to hug her so bad. I get that feeling, and it's, again, too close. I got a lot of quotes, y'all. This was, okay, these next 2 quotes are just showing the good writing in the book. I liked these for the writing style. This is Pepper. This is when she's talking about when she cannot deny how much she physically wants Opal and how much she emotionally wants Opal. And she wants her. She wants to connect. She wants the physical with her. The want is quick as a flare, but steady as a glowing ember, hot and bright and vital. That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. This is also Pepper. Opal and I haven't talked in 2 days. This was after Opal's freak out. And I am ever so slightly absolutely panicking about it. I love that. Opal and I haven't talked in 2 days, and I am ever so slightly, absolutely panicking about it. I just love that. Okay, and this is also Pepper. Okay, Pepper. She's got all the good lines, apparently. When she goes out there and she talks to Opal and she stands up for herself, which I was very, very proud. And she tells her, look, I want you. I love you. I want you to stay here. The farm is mine. That's non-negotiable. We'll have to get your money back from my mother. This is not your land. This is mine. However, I want you to stay here and I want you to be with me and I want a partnership with you. But this is what Pepper says. I love you in the most basic and complicated and overwhelming and simple and inevitable way possible. That is beautiful. I mean, what other better way to declare love than it's the most basic and complicated and overwhelming and simple and inevitable? I love that. That's absolutely gorgeous. I will say, even though I'm rating this 3 stars, and I've already thoroughly and abundantly explained all my reasons why, and it's all based on personal preference, I will stop and say the writing style was beautiful. The inclusion was beautiful. I loved how we had 2 characters that are not considered the norm of what's desirable. And I thought that made this book very beautiful. And I want to make sure I give my props there. Give my flowers to Mazey there. Casting. Let's move on. Opal, I could not think of a better person than Barbie Ferreira. She was in Euphoria. She was a model. She's absolutely beautiful, plus size model. She's curvy. I've seen her with like long hair looking fabulous. And I've also seen her with very short hair, just kind of looking a little different. Not different in a bad way. Very just, she can change her appearance a lot is what I mean. And for Opal, that's kind of what she's going for. She changes her appearance very quickly as a way to combat her neurodivergent, to combat her panics, to combat her anxiety. And I think Barbie Ferreira can pull that off really, really well. She has that versatility. And then for Pepper, I went with Maya Hawke from Stranger Things. She's very tall. She has a very natural beauty to her. She can play awkward. She can definitely pull off that cottagecore farmer girl vibe, because Pepper wears overalls everywhere because she's found an outfit. She wears like the same outfit every day. Not really, but the same type, because she's found something that she can handle the feel of it, the textures on her skin. She can handle the sensory of it, and so she doesn't go from there. Like, she doesn't stray. And I just feel like Maya Hawke can pull that off really, really well. And she's still just, I mean, that's Uma Thurman's daughter. She's still got a beauty to her, but it's a very natural beauty. And I think that's perfect for Pepper. And I think that brings us to an end. I'm glad I read this book. I'm glad I detoured from my usual preferences, because if you don't ever do that, you don't know, there's no way you're going to find out what you like and what you don't. I will try another lesbian romance. I will try another FF romance. I am interested in it because maybe with all of the personal things that was mixed in and how much anxiety it gave me and how triggering it was for me, maybe that's the reason I didn't care for it, because there were so many beautiful things in this book that I did like. So that's it. That brings us to a close for today. Thank you so much for joining me. And we have another Love in Bloom episode next week. So join me then and have a wonderful, wonderful spring. And until next time, stay spicy. And that's it for this episode of Book Tease. Book and theme reveals and episode commentary can be found at TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Book Tease Pod. Theme music is by The Scraps, and until next time, stay spicy.